Hi, I'm Mark Honeybone from Property Ventures, and welcome to our weekly podcast where we interview prominent members of the investment community along with other professionals in the New Zealand property market. This is a free service from Property Ventures so that you can keep current and learn from some of the best around New Zealand. To check us out, take a look at propertyventures.co.nz. We hope you enjoy today's podcast. Welcome back to the first podcast of 2015 from Property Ventures. It is a podcast of difference because yes, we are going to do a sale on this, and normally we just sort of giving information out. Well, we're certainly going to give information out, but we found a developer who's got an interesting development that we think's something pretty special to be a part of. As many of you know, we don't just deal with any developer. We have to believe in the product and believe what they are presenting to you all. We're having a sales night on Thursday the 26th of February about these, and we were just going to tell you a bit about the night and what you can expect to hear on the night. Today we have Rob from the Safari Group to tell us about the opportunity. Safari Group deal with Quest and Ramada primarily, and yes, they are managed apartments, but don't switch off because these are managed apartments like you've never heard of before. They're guaranteed rents, and they just create a really good opportunity for investors. So sit back and have a listen to this short presentation. So Rob, welcome to the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure.
So we're here today to talk about the Ramada Auckland deal, but first of all, tell us about Safari Group and how it all began.
Well, Safari Group began a number of years ago and really has evolved into a small sort of boutique family company. It's sort of made up of my family and one of my best mates, Mr. Stephen Taylor, and his family really. And the process, I guess, is to keep it family and keep it boutique and not sort of grow into some big giant, but at the same time offering sort of services from a property perspective to the public. So and we seem to have been successful in doing that over the last number of years.
Yeah, great stuff. So what sort of properties does the Ramada Group actually do, and why and how?
Well, Ramada is part of the Wyndham Group, and the Wyndham Group is renowned for being the largest hospitality hotel operator in the world, and they've got a number of different brands that go with that: the Howard Johnson, Ramada, Wyndham Vacations, and so on. Within New Zealand, they're evolving the Ramada brand, which is once again a boutique sort of service department style product, and sort of we've been invited to assist when we find properties and move forward in that manner. So they're a very good company to deal with. They're American. The Australasia has been run out of the Gold Coast in Australia, and the opportunities have arisen to develop properties accordingly.
I was actually over in Fiji last year and got roped into one of those timeshare meetings that they get people along to, and that was actually my first introduction to the Wyndham Group, and I sort of got appreciation of then of how big it is and how solid that side of the business is. You know, business people sort of join them and pay something like $30,000 to join up and pay $1,000 a year thereafter to basically use all these resorts and holiday places around around the world. And I know this is only one part of what the Ramada Group sort of does, but that's sort of a bit about the Wyndham Group, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ramada is a brand from the Wyndham Group. So the product you're talking about is called Wyndham Vacations. It's not one that we really get that involved in. It's one that they own themselves. So they develop a property of large resort style properties or whatever they may well be, and create that timeshare. I think they've got a different name for it these days, but the reality is that they've got two of those in New Zealand, and they own those and manage those directly themselves. One of them's in Rotorua, and the other one is in Wanaka down the South Island. And it's like they own and run those themselves. They're quite separate to what we're doing, and the Ramada branding is just another mark that they have. And it suits us. We're a boutique development company who do boutique hotels, and that's the pathway we're taking.
So the leases, they're two separate, obviously, groups under the same umbrella, I guess. So tell us why the lease then is so good. The lease on these are a 15-year lease, so it's 15 years assured rent you're getting. It's not like it's normal service apartment. And then after those initial 15 years, it's a 5 plus 5 plus 5, so potentially 30 years with it. So why in your mind is it such a good investment in such a secure lease?
The lease itself is a much stronger commercial element than a management contract from a landlord's perspective. A management contract is based on occupancy and room rack rate and a percentage thereof. So in gaining income, a lot of the products that have been evolved in New Zealand, without naming them all, are under management contracts, and the landlord doesn't know from one month to the next whether he's getting an income or whether he's actually got to contribute because his unit hasn't been leased out. Under the commercial lease style property that these are under, it's a fixed value. It may not be as much as you might project you're going to get under a management contract on a monthly basis, but the reality is it's consistent, it's secured, and you know what you're getting from month to month. It's a $13,000 lease for a studio. The reality is you get that your 1/12 of that every month on the knocker. The tenant sort of personally guarantees that. Or the franchisee tenant, and it's nice and strong, and you know exactly where you are, which is what we like about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like about it, the surety of where you are. And just so if you're listening to this, it's not the usual managed apartment where people, investors around New Zealand have got hooked into where they thought they're getting a 3 or 4 or 5%, and they end up with about a 1.5 or 2%, usually roughly the average, I believe, with it, because it's all around the occupancy. The occupancy isn't really that important. It's a lease, and as Rob just said, it's a lease that's paid every month for 52, for 12 months a year, regardless of who's in there, with one of the most solid lease companies in the world.
Yeah, and the other thing about that too, having a lease for the operator, it makes the operator perform, because if the operator, being the tenant, franchisee, doesn't perform, then he doesn't get paid. So he knows what his outgoings are every month, and he knows that if he works hard and he gets good occupancy and good rack rate, then the reality is he's going to do better at the end of the year because he's going to have more money in the bank. So it works for both parties. I think it works for the franchisee and the landlord. So we think it's great.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I'm just going to ask Rob in a minute about the other projects he's got going around the country, but I know one's in Christchurch, and it's just opened on the 2nd of February. I remember seeing it on the accommodation sites in January, and I believe the first 2 months booked 100% occupancy already. Is that right?
Yeah, no, very, very close. I mean, obviously it's confirmed bookings and projected bookings are two things, but I can tell you now, we sort of started putting people in there 2 weeks ago. We had our grand opening, and ever since then it's gone berserk. Now, obviously, the Cricket World Cup's helping us, which is great. But the real knowledge down in Christchurch is there's a lack of accommodation, and for the next 10 years we saw a fantastic opportunity. But the best part about that property there is its neighbour's going to be the new stadium, and it's got the Unitec in behind it, and it's right on the end of High Street, and it's just a fantastic location. The building's come up well, and the fantastic part now is that it's sort of trading away sort of very, very nicely for the franchisee. So very happy.
Great. So we're here to talk about the Auckland Ramada, but just so briefly, you obviously got Christchurch. What other projects are going on around the place?
From the reality is that Safari Group are the developer, and we get a franchisee tenant in place, be that with a Ramada brand or a Quest brand. The Ramada brand at the moment, we've got obviously Christchurch, which is now operating. We've got Queenstown and Remarkables Park. Queenstown, that's just started construction. That's a Ramada branding as well, which is available. And Federal Street, which Mark's sort of already alluded on, which is starting in about probably 4 to 5 weeks' time. We're just getting our building consent at the present time, and that's getting released. We've got a couple of others from Quest's point of view. We've got one on Taupo we're doing for Quest at the moment. Well, Quest is our tenant there. That's half sold already, and that's going back to the market to sell the rest of the underlying titles, but that should open probably June is where we're sort of targeting at the moment, May, June, and that's going really well. And there's a number of others we've done for Quest and Thorndon Quay, Beaumont Street, Thorndon Quay being in Wellington, Beaumont Street in Auckland, Hamilton, Tauranga, Henderson, we've been all over the show with Quest, and they're a fantastic tenant and a great branding. So they both equally complement each other. So we're pretty proud to be involved with both parties.
Yeah, geez, I've been looking around for accommodation myself lately and just realised how many Quests there are around the place. So their leases, are they run similar to the Ramada?
Similar. I mean, they're different because they're different leases as such and different properties. But I mean, they're all very similar as a pathway. But as a basic principle, the Quest branding is fantastic and the Ramada branding is fantastic. And as I said, from our boutique company perspective, and all of those are sort of, anywhere from sort of 34 to 54 rooms, maximum maybe 60 on a good day. They're not big developments, so they're good for the tenant and the franchisee to manage and occupy versus having a 200-room hotel, which you've got to try and fill up. So they work well, and as I say, they're fantastic partners to align with, and we've enjoyed the relationships and will continue to do so in the years to come.
That's great, and there's a lot of listeners who are listening to this know that I don't really like putting my name to anything that's, especially with developments going on, that I don't sincerely see that I think it's a good product and got good backing. So, and I certainly see this as a good investment. Just moving on then, so part of, as we alluded to before we started this conversation, a part of this is advertising a sales night next Thursday, which is Thursday the 26th of February at 6:30, and that's at level 6135 Broadway, Newmarket. That'll be in the script also alongside this. But so what we're doing there, we are pushing the Ramada Federal Street in Auckland, having this product right in the middle of town, 100 odd metres away, or not much more than that from the Sky City. It has to be a pretty prime location. Maybe you might allude to why and how you got that. But so tell us a bit more specifically about the Ramada deal, because that's the one we're really pushing now.
Well, Federal Street, as you say, is a hop, skip and a jump, and you're sitting in Sky City. So it's in the centre of town. Its neighbours are TS Centre, obviously, and the police station. So you're in good company there. But I think the big thing with that one there, once again, it's boutique. It's 42 units. It's very much specifically pushed towards the service department hotel market. So there is no restaurants and things on site. It's purely about accommodation and looking after the guests. And from there, you don't need to put restaurants there because there's so much around you in that Federal Street area down by Sky City. There's just significant. There's a mixture of sort of studios, one bedroom, and a 2-bedroom unit. The 2-bedroom unit's already sold, unfortunately, for the purchasers, but there's plenty of opportunity in the other areas. But I say the location for us is just outstanding. There's a little bit of history we have of the building. It's a building that we built many years ago, and it's sort of come back and ready for a refurb. So it's not one we owned right through that period, but 25 odd years ago, we were involved in the construction of it, and now we've got it back, and we'll tidy it up and put it back out there again. So
nice. At least you know the history of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, we're very, very proud to be involved with it. So no, I think that's going to go off significantly. I mean, the fit out on it's going to be very quick. I mean, we'll be in and out of it by sort of probably September this year. So it's available sort of this year from a user point of view and from an ownership point of view.
So just before we go over the details again for the next week, is there anything else you'd like to sort of say about the Federal Ramada?
No. I think most of it come along to the session next week, next Thursday. I think you'll find it informative and enjoyable. I'll be here along with one of my associates. And we'll happily, answer all your questions. But it is a fantastic opportunity. It's one you shouldn't miss out on. I'd contact Mark, make your appointment, and get along, and store up your questions. And I'm sure I'll be able to give you some good confidence and understanding around the product. But we've been doing it for a number of years, and the reality of it is that we keep doing it. It's the only sort of product we're doing. We're not doing any other development style product at the moment. We're just doing service departments, and interestingly enough, the only developer in New Zealand doing service departments on a unit title basis. And the reason behind that is that we know it and we love it, and we've got clients who don't just buy on one property, they buy on every property we do. So, I've got some of my clients out of Singapore and French Polynesia that they just, every time one comes up, they've got their mark on one, repeat business is the best thing for us. So come along, enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Great, you're signing up a good business by doing that. So here's a chance next Thursday to speak to the horse's mouth as such, and talk to the developer and ask the questions, because I can answer so much. I understand the product pretty well, but obviously Rob's the man that knows it better than anyone. So come on along, 6:30 this Thursday, the 26th of Feb, 135 Broadway, up on the top floor. There'll be someone to show you where to go, and you can either call us 09522 7963 or send us an email, info@propertyventures.co.nz. Again, we'll have all those details on our website. But come along and we'll see you next Thursday. And thanks very much for your time today, Rob.
Much enjoyed, Mark, and look forward to next week.
I'd like to thank Rob for his time today, speaking about the Ramada opportunity. We really think it's a great opportunity for the investor, 15-year guaranteed rent, and think of the potential capital growth in that time could be quite phenomenal. No restrictions, you can still sell any time that you want to sell. So if you want to come along to our meeting next Thursday night at 6:30 in Newmarket, either give us an email at info@propertyventures.co.nz or give us a call on 09522 7963 and register for the meeting. Take care, and we'll see you next week.